Hey, what is going on, guys? My name is LuckyBunz. In today's video, we're going to find out if Zamazenta in its hero form is actually worth powering up in Pokemon Go. So as always, before we go and get started with the video here, if you guys do find it helpful and informative, I'd really appreciate it if you could hit that like button down below. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. So first things first, Zamazenta is going to be available in raids from August 26th at 10 a.m. your local time to September 1st at 10 a.m. your local time. So again, Zamazenta isn't really going to be in raids for very long, very similar to Zacian, but we gotta find out, is it even worth raiding? So very similar to Zacian, Zamazenta is going to be a single type Pokemon in its hero form, and then it's going to become a dual type Pokemon in its crowned form. So Zamazenta is going to be a fighting type Pokemon. Now unfortunately there is no fighting type fast move for Zamazenta, so Stab is kind of out of the picture here. So Zamazenta is going to get access to these four fast moves: Metal Claw, Snarl, Quick Attack, and Ice Fang. Now the charge moves on Zamazenta are going to be as follows: Moonblast, Iron Head, Crunch, and Close Combat. So Close Combat is the only move that actually benefits from Stab on Zamazenta, but to be completely honest here, it's really not that good without a fighting type fast move, so yeah, Zamazenta as a fighting type counter, not looking too good. With that being said though, there are some combination moves for Zamazenta like Metal Claw and Iron Head, which is going to be a double Steel type moveset, or Snarl and Crunch, a double Dark type moveset. Now again, Zamazenta is a fighting type Pokemon, so it's not going to benefit from Stab from either of these movesets, and quite honestly, you probably have better options out there when it comes down to Steel type Pokemon or Dark type Pokemon. Now Zamazenta in its crown form, that's going to be a different story, but we'll talk about that later on in the video. So Zamazenta's move pool isn't actually looking that good, especially when we compare it to Zacian, which got a much better move pool in my opinion. But let's take a look at the base stats for Zamazenta now. So Zamazenta in its hero form is going to have identical stats to Zacian. It's going to have 254 attack, 236 defense, and 192 HP. So once again, a very well-rounded Pokemon. So with that being said, let's move on over to the next question of the video here. Is Zamazenta going to be meta-relevant in raids? Definitely not. Once again, the move pool for Zamazenta is quite awful, especially when you consider that it is a fighting type Pokemon. Like when we compare it to Zacian, Zacian is a fairy type Pokemon, and with the current fast moves that it had and Moonblast, it was actually a decent fairy type attacker. But given the fighting type meta in Pokemon Go, like you have other Pokemon like Machamp that just completely outclass Zamazenta and are so much more accessible. And while Zamazenta does have some combination moves, like I previously mentioned, the double Steel type moveset and the double Dark type moveset, quite honestly, you just have better options out there, and without any Stab moves, it really can't take advantage of its fighting type. So yeah, Zamazenta in raids, gonna be a pass for right now, at least until the crowned form is released in Pokemon Go. Not to mention when Behemoth Bash comes into rotation, oh man, that is a completely different story for Zamazenta, but we'll talk about that in a separate video. Alright guys, let's move on over to the PvP side of things now. So of course, is Zamazenta meta-relevant in PvP? We're gonna have two leagues that it's gonna focus in here, mainly the Master League and then also the Ultra League as well. In Master League, Zamazenta is going to be ranked number 45 in the Open Master League, so level 50 Master League, and then for Classic Master League level 40, it's going to be ranked number 28. So very similar to Zacian, Zamazenta doesn't really rank that well in the Ultra League, but let's talk about the Master League a little bit more. So the ideal moveset for Zamazenta in the Master League is going to be Snarl plus Close Combat and Crunch, taking advantage of the Dark type moveset there, along with the Stab bonus on Close Combat. It's decent, it definitely isn't bad. Would I personally use it? I can't say for sure, guys, because I don't really run Master League. Like Ultra League is kind of my speciality. Would I run it in Ultra League though? Probably not. Once again, it's ranked 239 in the Ultra League, so you really just have a lot of better options out there. It does actually win the Giratina matchup, which is kind of interesting, but it's hard to say if Zamazenta would actually be, worth investing into because it costs 100,000 Stardust for that secondary charge move, and again, there are just better options out there in my opinion. So Zamazenta in the Master League, it could be good. Like again, Master League isn't my speciality, but given its current ranking, there's definitely a place for it in the meta. I'm just not sure how viable it's going to be compared to maybe some of your other options out there. Like Zacian was a pretty good option in the Master League, but Zamazenta is kind of, I guess you could say, hit or miss. Now, of course, for those of you out there who do want to run Zamazenta in the Master League, or you just want to get a Zamazenta for yourself, I'm going to go over some quick counters for this raid boss. So once again, Zamazenta is a fighting type Pokemon, which means that it's going to be weak against psychic type Pokemon, so Mewtwo is going to be the MVP here. And we just recently had Mewtwo available in raids, so I'm sure some of you accumulated a decent amount of of good Mewtwo. Now's the time to flex them, whether you got the shiny or the shadow or just even the regular Mewtwo. Yeah, Mewtwo is going to be your best friend during the Zamazenta rotation. For whatever reason, if you weren't able to get yourself some Mewtwo or you just don't have any Mewtwo, you're going to have other Psychic type options available as well as some Flying type options out there. To be honest though, even a Mewtwo with 0% IVs would be pretty solid, so, you know, if you could get one from a trade, then more power to you. But overall, I would say that, you know, this raid boss shouldn't be too difficult to take down. Now, of course, that's going to be Zamazenta in its hero form. When Zamazenta comes back in its crown form, that's going to be a tanky boy. So let's actually go ahead and talk about Zamazenta in its crown form, though. So for those of you who remember, Zacian got a massive attack boost in its crown form, and I'm sure you can guess, Zamazenta is going to get a massive defensive boost in its crown form. So its defense stat is going to go from 236 all the way to 292. Very, very tanky. Now I touched on this a little bit earlier as well, but Zamazenta is also going to become a dual type very similar to Zacian, so it's going to become a fighting type and a steel type Pokemon, and its signature move is going to be Behemoth Bash, which is going to be crazy good. Probably not as good as Behemoth Blade on Zacian, but it's still going to be pretty awesome. And I definitely expect this Pokemon to be super good in PvP, especially because of its defensive stats. So right now, Zamazenta in its hero form honestly leaves a lot to be desired, but Zamazenta when it comes back in its crown form, yeah, this is going to be a Pokemon to pay attention to. So basically my final thoughts when it comes down to Zamazenta in its hero form is that it's going to be kind of a pass right now, but you know, I would still use your free passes if you can, kind of build up the candy, because that candy can then be used for the crown form later down the line. But overall, I wouldn't really power this Pokemon up. You know, even for PvP, like, it's not really that crazy. Like, Zacian is definitely a little bit more interesting because there's a lot of potential there, especially with the move pool, but overall, Zamazenta, a lot to be desired, and at least until the crown form comes out, yeah, I would probably just pass on this one. So with that being said, hopefully this video did help you guys out, especially when it comes down to making a decision on Zamazenta in its hero form. If you guys haven't watched the video on Zacian in its hero form, the breakdown video, I'm going to leave a link to that in the description below as well as in the top right corner right now. If you guys ended up getting some good Zacian, you can kind of make a decision in terms of whether or not that Pokemon is actually worth powering up. Anyways though, that is basically it for this one. Hopefully you guys did find it helpful and informative. As always, I'd really appreciate if you could hit that like button down below, and if you want to see more Pokemon Go videos like this in the future, definitely consider hitting that subscribe button as well. And I will see you all real soon in the next one.